welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the scariest anime to watch if you're a fan of things that go bump in the night. Number 30, Mieruko-chan. If you like seeing all kinds of vile, horrific monsters, that makes one of you. Unfortunately for her, Miko doesn't have much of a say in the matter. She wakes up one day randomly capable of seeing ghosts, and all the ghastly imagery that comes with it. While Mieruko-chan primarily leans into the comedy of Miko's plight, you won't find a better crop of jump scares anywhere else. One minute she's crossing the street, the next, boom, as a terrifying ghoul in front of our screen. It's scary, funny, shocking, and perfect for viewing under a blanket. Number 29, Cat Soup. In just 34 minutes, this surrealist short film will have you reaching for the light switch. The story follows a humanoid cat, Nyata, who braves the underworld to rescue her sister. It sounds simple enough, right? Well, then you actually watch Cat Soup and suffer through its unbearably creepy visuals. You can't even blame it on the land of the dead. Nyata's dead-eyed stare alone is enough to haunt your nightmares. This beautiful and disturbing piece may be a short film, but you won't be forgetting it anytime soon. Number 28, Dorohedoro. This anime opens with a giant human-looking lizard swallowing a guy, deciding he isn't right, and then promptly spitting him back out. And get this, it's played for laughs. In a nutshell, that's a good metaphor for Dorohedoro. It's full of so many realms, spells, and gory executions, a lizard man doesn't even stand out. Don't get it twisted though, anyone turning on Dorohedoro expecting a quirky comedy won't make it past the first episode. There aren't many series that can bathe its characters in so much blood and still find a way to make you grin about it. Number 27, Zombieland Saga. 10 years after her abrupt death via a speeding truck, Sakura Minamoto comes back to life as a zombie, not to feast on the living, to join 6 other zombie girls in the premier undead idol group, of course. You'll be amazed by how much comedy they can mine from putting zombies on stage. Be warned though, Zombieland Saga still has more than its fair share of gruesome body horror scenes. They're just interspersed with cutesy musical numbers. After all, nothing drowns out the screams of the dead better than a toe-tapping song, right? Number 26, Boogiepop Phantom. A strange light, an ancient folklore, and a series of murders all sound like standard operating procedure for a spooky anime. But throwing aside the spine-tingling narrative, Boogiepop Phantom works because of its atmosphere. The show lives and dies on its eerie direction, which uses subdued colors and grating sound effects to make you squirm in your seats. It's most prevalent with Boogiepop himself. He's an urban legend personifying death, and every time he steps on screen, you know you're in for a good time. Regardless, Boogiepop Phantom is an experimental thrill ride with a journey that's just as frightening as the destination. Number 25, Death Note. Light Yagami is your typical high-achieving teenager, albeit one with the power to kill anyone he wants by writing in a cursed journal. Naturally, it puts him on a few most wanted lists, kickstarting a must-see psychological tug-of-war. Death Note wastes no time setting up gasp-worthy plot twists. No, Light's misguided crusade is nail-bitingly tense from episode 1, and it only gets darker from there. It's saying something when the most disturbing part of a show isn't the death notes, the Shinigami, or even the mass murders occurring across Japan. It's a teenage boy who thinks he's enforcing justice.
そして僕は新世界の神となる。
Number 24, Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead.
どうすんだっていうかこのままじゃ会社に遅れちまう
It's the end of the world, so you may as well start living life to the fullest, right? That's Akira's mindset at least, and he takes off into the zombie apocalypse to start checking off his to-do list. In stark contrast to other undead programs, Zom 100 is bright, bubbly, and proud of it.
ここでビールを我慢するくらいならゾンビに食われた方がマシだ
That's not to say there aren't a few gory scenes here and there, but the zombified background is used more to explore the characters than scare them silly. It's a refreshingly spirited take on the genre that ironically breathes new life into the undead.
そこまでだゾンビども
Number 23, Knights of Sidonia. This sci-fi screamfest follows Nagate Tanikaze, a god pilot who's the last thing standing between humanity's survival and the alien Gauna. There isn't much to know about the intergalactic species besides they're hostile, they're shapeshifters, and they're the reason humankind retreated into a giant spaceship called Sidonia. Even with massive laser-clad mechas on our side, it's hard not to recoil anytime one of these slimy Gauna rears their ugly heads. And since they're the series' main antagonist, that happens a lot. Knights of Sidonia is definitely worth the nightmares, just don't say we didn't warn ya. Number 22, Gantz. Think of the craziest, most action-packed horror flick ever, add a few anime twists, and you have Gantz. It's a blood-soaked battle royale that spends 26 straight episodes blowing up aliens. It's all a part of a twisted game where the newly deceased compete to regain their lives. They get points based on how many aliens they kill, meaning Gantz goes through a lot, and we do mean a lot, of monster guts. It doesn't hold back, and that's part of the appeal. You won't want to stop watching until it's game, set, and match. Number 21, Attack on Titan. In a world where gigantic man-eating behemoths called Titans lurk behind every corner, the remnants of humanity have 4 options: hide, pray, die, or a mixture of all 3. Yeah, Attack on Titan doesn't give its characters much in the way of hope, but it's that same unflinchingly grim outlook that makes it such a compulsive watch. You can't help but root for the Survey Corps as they continue to fight the good fight, even against utterly insurmountable odds. Just don't get attached to any characters, alright? You'll be setting yourself up for heartbreak, or worse. Number 20, Hellgirl. There are some people that deserve a one-way ticket across the River Styx way earlier than the rest, which is where Enma comes in.
Oh, pitiful shadow lost in the darkness, bringing torment and pain to others.
Should any tormented individual feel pushed to their breaking point, they're given the opportunity via the Hell Correspondence website to summon Ai and her companions in order to bring a fresh reckoning to their tormentors. With each self-contained story often resulting in a black-hearted individual being thrown into hellfire, you'd think it'd be happy endings all round for the victims. Nope. Invoke the Hellgirl, and the price you pay is condemning your own soul to hell upon your death. How cheerful.
This is vengeance, so I'm to ferry you to hell.
Number 19, Terraformers. Do you hate cockroaches? Well, prepare yourself because these ones come equipped with a humanoid body, immense strength, creepy smile, and a desire to purge every human they come across. Best suited for fans who enjoy their horror series with a splash of crazy-ass action, there's still tension to be found here as a group of soldiers arrive on Mars in order to take the red planet back from the roaches. Only this time, they aren't helpless. Genetically enhanced with the abilities of other insects, there is nothing more cathartic than seeing these guys rip the heads off giant bugs one after the other. Pest control at its finest. Number 18, School Life. Honestly, by this point, moe kills and horrifying circumstances go hand in hand, though few have managed to balance it with this level of creativity and despair. Optimistic and lovable Yuki spends her days in bliss, reveling in her school life with her close group of friends.
Senpai! Ah, Mii-kun!
For the rest of them, life isn't so rosy, since the reality is that the world has been consumed by a zombie apocalypse, and every day is a desperate struggle to survive, all while trying to maintain the illusion of a regular school life for the sake of Yuki's incredibly fragile mental state. Remember to smile. Number 17, Umineko When They Cry. While it may not have the same amount of oomph as its visual novel, there's still enough in this adaptation to make the end result wholly disturbing. The idea of a bunch of greedy, depraved, and unlikable aristocrats and their offspring meeting their demise courtesy of a malevolent spirit might sound like a fun time. And it is! It's gross as hell, and some of the ways the Ushiromiya family bite the dust is well and truly morbid. But if you're in the mood to see a lot of bad people become slightly less terrible in a bid to survive a curse, this is the one for you. Number 16, High School of the Dead. Who's ready for a schlock fest of the best kind? We're talking zombies, mass panic, survivors turning on each other, innocents getting devoured, and so much fan service that at times there's more flesh on the screen than in the mouths of the undead. If you're a fan of exploitive style over substance horror that doesn't skip out on the blood nor the cleavage, then you have a duty to watch this crazy train from start to finish. Number 15, Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust. The man known as D has been slaying the things that go bump in the night for decades now, but by far his greatest and flashiest outing was this classic flick, which pitted him against a powerful vampire, one with so much charisma and supernatural underlings, you might as well call him Dracula. The fights are brutal and uncompromising. The mythos of the legendary bloodsuckers is given the darkness it deserves. And of course, D is an absolute badass that brings the thrills and kills in every scene. Number 14, Dead Man Wonderland. While it can be argued that the later episodes of what was supposed to be a manic gorefest shifted the whole thing towards more shonen action vibes, what can't be denied is that it's one of the most shocking and borderline unpleasant viewing experiences for anime goers. It's fertile ground for all lovers of horror who are down to see things kick off with a good old-fashioned bloodbath. This results in the death of all but one student, who was unceremoniously framed for the whole thing via kangaroo courts and sent to a facility filled with psycho kids with murder on the brain. Yeah, it's that kind of show.
This is the part where I take you out.
Number 13, Corpse Party, Tortured Souls. Surely, with a title like that, how can this series be anything but pleasant? Based on the hit Japanese survival horror game, we follow a group of students who end up transported to a school plagued by violent ghosts and specters. Not only must they unravel the mystery of Heavenly Host Elementary in order to escape, but go up against the murderously psychotic Sachiko. Needless to say, not only do some of these poor souls end up meeting their demise, but some of their deaths are beyond excessive. Don't blame us if you can't look at scissors for a while. Number 12, Elfenlied. As is the case for most great anime that delve into horror, the common thread binding them all together is the simple truth that humanity are truly the worst monsters of them all. Case in point, Lucy. Despite her slaughtering her way through both deserving and undeserving humans with her invisible razor vectors, we still can't help but feel sympathy given her cruelest of childhoods, one built on prejudice, imprisonment, and loneliness, to the point where you'll be like, you know what, they had it coming, as she unleashes a fresh dose of carnage against the world that wronged her. Number 11, Tokyo Ghoul. Oh Kaneki, you did not deserve to go through any of that, but hey, at least you became one of modern anime's darkest protagonists in the process. In a world where cannibalistic creatures known as ghouls exist alongside humans, Ken Kaneki finds himself thrown against the worst of both species after being turned into a half-ghoul. Aside from wrestling with his own cravings for human flesh, he's pitted against fanatical humans bent on ghoul genocide, as well as the evil group known as Aogiri Tree and its torture-obsessed members. Tokyo Ghoul stands tall as one of the more interesting horror anime. Number 10, Paranoia Agent. Who knew a golden baseball bat and a pair of rollerblades could cause so much chaos? The city of Musashino is thrown on its head when an enigmatic assailant going under the title Lil Slugger starts to cause mass hysteria due to their unrelenting attacks, as well as the authorities' seeming inability to apprehend them. The only thing more terrifying than the bludgeonings is the suspicion that starts to rise among the residents. As their mistrust reaches a fever pitch, don't be shocked if the grittiness and trauma keeps you invested until either Lil Slugger or the town itself strikes out. Number 9, The Promised Neverland. We'd be remiss if we didn't include this modern darling, which not only redefined and reinforced the notion that anime could indeed be terrifying, but it did so with a concept that was so simple, it was almost beautiful. A trio of orphans content in their life on an estate discover that all they have ever known has been a lie, and that they and the rest of their friends are nothing more than cattle for the monsters on the outskirts of their home. Their only options, escape or die. Helmed by a magnificent cast that you'll undoubtedly come to adore through every nail-biting twist, the first season of this is one even non-horror fans are required to watch. Number 8. Perfect Blue. Psychological horror doesn't come any better than this. Practically unparalleled in its portrayals of madness, its infectious nature, and the dangers of media, Mima's struggle against a deranged stalker, as well as her own fractured mind, is so beautifully realized that it often hits way too close to home. The disturbing imagery and implications elevate it to such a degree that it ends up capturing the true essence of horror, more so than even the most grotesque of monsters. Just try to watch the climax and not have your heart leap out your throat. Number 7. Monster. 2 words, Johann Liebert.
I'm Johann Liebert.
After choosing to save the life of a patient over that of the town's mayor, the once highly regarded surgeon, Kenzo Tenma, has his world shattered as not only do his morals cost him his position, but unleash the suave, psychotic, and unrelenting Johann upon the world.
Is something the matter, Dr. Tenma?
As the genius sociopath's antics get more and more horrific, Tenma, and by extension we, the audience, are forced to confront the worst that humanity has to offer, and what we're willing to do to stop someone who lacks even the smallest trace of empathy, to the point that even the ones who bred him for greatness couldn't contain his malevolent tendencies.
I was supposed to die that night. You're the one who resurrected me, Doctor.
Number 6. Another. Did someone ask for anime's answer to Final Destination? Because if so, feast your eyes upon this buffet of deaths, decapitations, and impossible expirations.
この学校はね、中でも3年3組は
While trying to unravel the mystery of his new school, Koichi not only finds himself questioning whether the suspicious yet sweet Mei can be trusted, but soon finds himself having to outrun the Reaper as a curse soon starts dropping bodies at the drop of a hat. Windowsills, chandeliers, elevators, and umbrella, everything in this series is a potential hazard. This is one where the kill count is king, so just sit back and try to guess how the next poor soul will meet their end. Number 5. Higurashi When They Cry. The definitive time-twisting murder fest that taught us to fear wide-eyed moe girls.
どうして嘘をつくのかなかな
嘘なんか
Just as Keiichi starts to settle into his new home, he comes face to face with its sordid history, one that slowly reveals itself to not only include time loops, but also that every girl in his social circle are out of their damn minds. If they aren't stabbing themselves with a knife, they're putting needles into his food, or denailing their twin sister.
とってもシンプル。右手と左手15本ずつ関節に釘を打っていく。
There's some pretty messed up stuff in there, all topped off by the iconic sight of Rena dragging her cleaver through the street with the goal of taking out her friend. Adolescence, am I right?
リカちゃんは殺されちゃうよ。
Number 4. Shiki.
これ以上俺の村を踏みにじらせない
Vampires are at it again, and this time quietly bringing hopelessness to a small town as the inhabitants fall prey to the hunger of the children of the night, and in doing so start a vicious cycle of death and retribution.
ゆうきくん
Blending together nightmarish imagery while dancing around with the increasingly twisted psyche of its own cast, more often than not, you'll find the emotional weights shifting as the residents spiral into a mob mentality that sends the body count skyrocketing on both sides, until you're left wondering whether or not all parties involved would be better off burning with that blood-soaked town of theirs. Number 3. Hellsing Ultimate. Dracula is a gun-wielding, sadistic murder machine in service to an order of English monster hunters and takes on fanatical Catholics and Nazi vampires. That's this show in a nutshell. Despite what you might call a ludicrous premise, the bloodshed, taboo themes, and sheer anarchy that comes from the character of Alucard is so immense that it's nearly impossible not to ride the highs of his killing sprees. Remember, he's still the good guy, who happens to leave an ocean of bodies everywhere he goes. Vampires have never looked so good. Number 2. Parasite. What happens when you take body snatchers and give them the ability to mutate their human hosts into instruments of death? A whole lot of people getting sliced to ribbons. When parasitic creatures invade the Earth, they start taking over the bodies of any inhabitants they come across, able to turn their appendages into various weapons. Luckily for our boy Shinichi, his personal parasite wasn't able to fully infect him, becoming a separate entity in his right hand. Forced to work together in a bid to survive, the two are thrust into conflict with both races, treating us to some stellar fights, genuine scares, and the unnerving truth that literally anyone in Shinichi's life could potentially be an enemy. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Devilman Crybaby. There's exploring the darkness inside of humanity, and then there's Devilman. There's stylistic portrayals of violence, insanity, rage, lust, and anguish, and then there's Devilman. Combining the apocalyptic magnum opus penned by acclaimed madman Go Nagai with the psychedelic fluid visuals of veteran director Masaki Yuasa, Akira's battle as a devil hybrid that seeks to defend his loved ones from Hell's forces is a triumph, one that will shock, disgust, and yes, horrify you to your core, as it presents a grim reflection of humankind and just how little it takes to bring them to the edge of reason and decency. What anime would you recommend to your horror-loving friends? Let us know in those comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.